Greetings, friends, and mostly enemies. We're here. The countdown. What a fucking journey it's been. And today we're talking about that journey. My self-publishing journey. What a nightmare. So obviously there's a lot of content here on AuthorTube talking about, you know, the journey people have had either to getting traditionally or self-published. And, you know, it helps out people who are thinking about doing it and people who, you know, want to study up on the subject for whatever reason. So I figured I'd get on here and talk about it just because I just want to rant about some things if I'm being honest. So let's get into it. Really, so we'll start with a timeline of my book's conception, editing, all that stuff. So, as I've made no secret about, it initially got started all the way back in high school, but then it was pretty much forgotten about. Me and my buddy who came up with it, you know, talked about it every now and then, but never really got the ball rolling on it. And then I had a life tragedy. I lost a very important relationship, and I needed something to distract myself, so I started writing it. You know, early 2019, January, February 2019, I started picking it back up. And I wrote it in 10 months, plain and simple. And writing it was the easiest part. It was all downhill from there, baby. Or, excuse me, it was all uphill in the mud from there. Let me tell you. Oh my God. Oh. First, there was the trying to get it traditionally published. So, if you've ever tried to get anything traditionally published, or even looked into potentially trying to get anything traditionally published, you know that you got to get a literary agent. It's a rarity to be published traditionally without one. Okay, there are a few presses that will publish you without an agent, and I submitted to those. No luck. I got over 50 agent rejections. Over 50. And over time, I came to begin to stir a working theory in my head about why I was getting rejected from so many of them. And the more rejections I got, the more the theory came to be fleshed out, and at this point, I'm pretty much sure of it. I'm pretty sure I was getting auto-rejected without them even looking at my book because of the metadata in my query letter. This ain't a small book, as you can see. I mean, that's a pretty sizable hunk of text. 149,000 words as it sits right there. My genre, my age category, traditional publishers want you to be between 90 and 120. I'm 129 over the limit. 129K over the limit. And I says to myself, when I knew that going into the querying process, but I says to myself, it's 129K, it's not that big of a deal. You know, I'm sure the quality of the book, which if you think I got rejected because my book sucks, go look at Goodreads. Seriously, go look at the reviews. It's not a quality issue. And I came to this realization because every beta reader, every critique partner that I heard back from liked it. It ranges between 3 and 5 stars with every one I get comments back from. I had now that I'm further along and I've had more people look at it, especially people that I've sent it to before interviews and stuff like that to see if they were interested in interviewing me for the book. I've had 1 or 2 people say this isn't really up my alley, and I don't know if they're talking about they don't like first person, I don't know if they're talking about they don't like fantasy, whatever, but I have had a few people say this isn't really my cup of tea. But no one said the writing was bad. No one has said your book is trash, except for one person who I'll get to later. But I kept getting rejected from literary agents. They kept saying, I kept hearing either it's too long, they would just flat out admit it, or the one that really tipped me off was they would say, I don't identify with the voice, or you don't have a very strong voice. That just tells me immediately you didn't fucking read it. I could understand not identifying with the voice. I could get that. But if you say that my novel doesn't have a strong voice, I instantly know you're either brain dead or you haven't read it. Because my character voice is the most distinct thing about my novel. So far, I've gotten 1 3-star review on Goodreads, and I talked to this person behind the scenes too and just asked them some questions about what their thoughts were. And they said, yeah, it was good read, but there were some things I didn't like. And I said, what was your favorite character? And they said, the main character. I liked them. And that was from a person who rated me 3 stars. It's like, you're going to tell me I don't have a good voice when even people who only think the book is okay, that their favorite thing is the voice of the protagonist, who the narrative is, in their voice? You didn't even read the fucking book. Literary agents, stop lying to the people who query you. If you didn't read the book because of the metadata, tell them. Don't waste their time and lead them on a wild goose chase of trying to figure out what's wrong with their letter or their manuscript when you auto-rejected them based on the metadata. Say, your novel's too long, I don't think I can sell it. Have a nice day. Be honest. Save a lot of people a lot of heartache and grief, you dishonest bastards. So, that querying process took me almost a year. I would send out a group of somewhere between 10 and 20 queries at a time, and I'd wait to get a few rejections, 5 or 6, and then I'd send out another batch. And I was doing that for, like I said, no, not quite a year, maybe 5 or 6 months. And finally I says to myself, I've put in with publishers, I've put in with agents, and I'm getting auto-rejected after, I'd fully formulated this theory. But everyone who's actually read it likes it. Fuck it, I'm going to self-publish. And the straw that broke the camel's back on that, the straw that broke the camel's back on saying, fuck it, I'm going to self-publish it as it is, with an editor. Query Shark. If you don't know who Query Shark is, let me give you a brief rundown. Query Shark is run by a literary agent who I believe has some published books of their own. I think. I'm just doing this off memory. I didn't bother to look into it before recording. Frankly, I don't care, because they're wrong. Query Shark basically told me, after making me wait like 3 weeks to get a first 1,200 words review, which is an absurd amount of time to wait for a review of the first 1,200 words. You have too much exposition in your initial pages. You could probably cut out the first 5 pages of your book, and you'd be fine. Her exact words were, based on your first 5 pages, I think you could cut the 29,000 extra words out of your book, and you wouldn't lose any content of value. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that if this person said that to me in person, I would have slapped the taste out of their mouth, I'm only being slightly exaggeratory. I was irate. I was storming through my house, ranting about it. What? What book? Give me a good book that you can cut 29,000 words out of and not lose anything of value. Doesn't exist. You know why my book is so long? Because I develop side characters, because I develop side plots, because I develop settings, and because I'm building a brand new world from scratch. there's gonna be a little exposition. Sorry. Not sorry. And so I informed Query Shark that I was very unhappy with the useless advice they gave me because their advice ran contrary to literally everything I'd heard from everyone who'd actually read the whole thing. And I said I can't use, and I tried to open a dialogue about, working around her criticisms, and she just refunded my money. And so I was like, well, okay, all right, well, if that's how you want to play it, fine. So that's how that went. And so, yeah, I finally says to myself, well, I'm just going to take my chances on the open market because literally everyone who's had it in their hands likes it. There's got to be something here. Not everyone is lying to me. And sure enough, almost all my reviews on Goodreads are 5 stars. So clearly I'm doing something right. And don't hit me with that you paid for reviews bullshit. If you saw my bank account, you would know I am not paying for something I can get for free. I am a poor man. So, I began trying to self-publish. First, I went to look for an artist. And currently, I'm resolving a situation, or in the process of resolving a situation, with the first cover artist. I may or may not update you on that situation further. I'm going to kind of try to seek a resolution before I spill all the tea, or before I choose whether or not to spill the tea. But that might be coming. But that didn't pan out. And so, I ended up going to Fiverr and finding the artist who did this cover. Patty Gone Art on Fiverr. $500 for that cover, which for that piece of art, and they did the back cover too. And he gave me some free revisions after I'd already closed the order, which he doesn't have to do. I'm very happy. I mean, have you seen my cover? This is gorgeous. This is like pristine. This night sky, that is the actual night sky from my star map. If you actually look at the constellations in the star map, those are the constellations on the cover. The attention to detail, it's pristine. I cannot recommend him enough. Absolutely love that guy. Or team. The way they answer messages, they answer messages. I kind of feel like it might be like a team account, like there might be 3 or 4 people that run it. But either way, highly recommend. And so yeah, I went to Fiverr. I got the cover rolling on that, and let's talk about the editing process. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let me tell you, folks. You need to shop around when you're picking an editor. Don't just get the cheapest one, and don't get the first good one you find, because you can find a good one for a decent price. I certainly did. She's credited in my book, and she's listed at least on Barnes and Nobles, and I think on Amazon too, as my editor, Kat of Genesis Design and Editing. Great job. But yeah. Oh my god. So I did most of my shopping around for an editor in Facebook groups. I'm in 3 or 4 different writing groups on Facebook, and I posted looking for an editor, and I got at least 2 or 3 dozen answers. And I shopped around, I asked for prices from them, and then I started getting sample edits. I said, well, will you edit the first chapter or the first 5 pages and let me see your editing? And oh my god. Editors, I'm going to give you some tea here. This is an honest critique of the majority of y'all based on the sample edits I saw. It's not your fucking job to rewrite my novel. I said clean up my punctuation, because I struggle with that. I said make sure my grammar and the word spellings are proper. I didn't say change my vocabulary. I didn't say remove whole sentences without asking me. I didn't say any of that garbage. Don't rewrite my book. I'm the creative genius, not you. I mean, seriously, this one editor changed the word trudging to plotting because I had the word trudging earlier up on the page. I'm sorry. Do you know the fucking difference between trudging and plotting? Because they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing at all. Trudging is a struggle. It's difficult. It's something you're doing because you're miserable, but you have to push forward. Plotting is something that either children are doing, playing outside in puddles, or something you're doing because you're ungraceful and struggle to walk with any level of finesse. It has nothing to do with difficulty. Trudging strongly implies a difficult, miserable time. It's not the same fucking word. They're not even synonyms. And they just changed that without asking. Editors don't do that. Unless the writer has specifically asked you to help with vocabulary choice and help with minor developmental stuff or full developmental editing, don't do that. It's not your job. I asked for proofreading and line editing. So don't rewrite my shit. Okay, thanks, bye. And that was several edits, by the way. This one girl, I mean, I found her on TikTok. She's kind of has a D&D TikTok and does some slice of life stuff, and I love her TikToks. I can't her name is Sarah something, but she's funny and whimsical, and I like her TikToks. And I saw that she did editing too, so I got a sample edit from her, and she literally just completely rewrote my first page. I mean, it didn't even sound like me anymore. It sounded like some, no offense to the homosexual community, but it sounded like some homosexual dandy from England. Didn't sound like me at all. Like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm a straight man from America. Why'd you write this like it was written by a homosexual man in England? This doesn't sound like me at all. It was ridiculous. So yeah, editors, stop. So once the final edit was done, and I still ended up uploading the wrong edit to get the first ones printed. See my video 2 or 3 videos ago. Something about me is so embarrassing. I explain it there. Oh my god. So, I start trying to get the file formatted correctly. And my editor said she could help out with that, but it proved to be a bit of a struggle. She couldn't get it right on her own. So I said, look, Kat, I need this done. You're not able to work on it fast enough because you're juggling other stuff too. I'm just going to go to a straight up formatter on Fiverr. I ended up finding a formatter on Fiverr that did a really good job. And I think I have her credited in This Is So Embarrassing, or one of my videos. I list her in the description. Could not recommend enough. Absolutely great. She's done a lot of revisions for me on the house too. Lifesaver. And finally, we got the final edit formatted and uploaded to all the places. And let me tell you something. There's some quirks of both Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, because those are the 2 hard copy outlets that I'm publishing through. Amazon is a lot pickier about your file that you upload. My god, their algorithm and error detection software is more picky. I had such a pain in the ass of a time getting my maps to show up, getting all the text to be inside their margins, getting the cover to be properly formed. Nightmare. And their cover designer that they have built into their website, it won't let you custom position your barcode, so I had to have this edited. This is supposed to be centered, but if I center it, their fucking barcode covers it, and then it's like, well, what's the point? So I moved it to the side. Irritating. Barnes & Noble's was not nearly that bad. The biggest pain in the ass I had with Barnes & Noble's was resizing the cover. And at first I was paying someone to do that, but then I realized I could do it myself on Canva with Pro. So I just paid for Canva Pro, and now I'm doing it. I did it myself on there. I resized it several times to fit the hardcover version and this version and that, etc., etc. The length changed, so I had to adjust the spine a few times. So yeah. Overall, I like Barnes & Noble's as a self-publishing platform better. I'm really only publishing through Amazon because they're the big name in town, and if your stuff isn't available from them, a lot of people just won't buy your stuff because they have brand and market loyalty to Amazon because it's just so convenient and easy, and their delivery is so fast and all this other BS, right? Ideally, in the future, tell you the truth, I'd like to get away from Amazon because I don't like supporting evil empires. And by the way, that's not an unfounded claim that some random dude is making. I worked in their warehouse and as a delivery driver for them. Evil empire. And then, of course, there's so many other little things I could bitch about here and there, you know, and just talk about in general. The platform building I've done here on YouTube, having all you guys come and be part of this community has been amazing. I love interacting with you guys in the comments and seeing what you have to say. I really got to do some more high relevancy reviews sometime soon because The Savior Sister is still my best video on this channel, and I really enjoyed making that video. I got to find another book that's all the cool kids are reading and do a review on it. Because I like that high engagement, and I like talking to you guys in the comments and seeing what people are saying. That's one of the funnest parts of doing YouTube, honestly, at least for me. And then, finally, the last thing I could probably talk about on my self-publishing journey was authenticating my author account on Goodreads and claiming my book and getting the cover uploaded. I added the book manually to their library before I was even a verified author. And that's just like the volunteer librarian function that they have on that site. But then I was able to, I asked an author who I'm friends with on Facebook. He's actually the author of Judd, which I will be reviewing on this channel and hopefully interviewing him. But yeah, he gave me some tips and told me how to get my author account set up and everything. And once he told me and helped me out and told me where to look, it wasn't too hard. But man, I don't know if I'm blind or if it's just kind of hidden, but verifying your Goodreads author account is a pain unless you have someone who's done it before help you. At least it was for me. So yeah, that's kind of my rant. I'm sure if there's so many other things I could potentially get into, but I hit the main ones on the head. Query Shark. Oh yeah, and I wanna revisit that point and just expound on the main takeaway from the Query Shark thing and the editors thing and the literary agents thing. There's a central theme there that I wanted to hit on. We've all heard you're not the exception to the rule. Except when you are. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you personally are. I'm not even saying I am. Every review on my book on Goodreads past what I've currently seen might be a 1-star. I doubt it. It won't be. But it could. But exceptions to the rule exist because they happen. Query Shark has gotten a lot of people's manuscripts accepted by traditional publishers if the testimonies on the site are real. And literary agents, generally speaking, get books published because if they didn't, they wouldn't work as a literary agent very long because they don't make money unless they get books published. So, I'm sure these people, generally speaking, know what they're talking about. But they were wrong about my book. The crowd, the wisdom of the crowd generally doesn't lie, especially when you're talking about a free market where people can spend their money on what they want to. My reviews are good. And I suspect they're going to stay trending around the 4- and 5-star area. I'm sure I'll get the occasional 3-star. And I'm waiting. I'm really curious what the first 1 star is going to be. I'm really curious. I honestly can't wait to see that review, just to read it and see what they say. I'm hoping there's going to be some actual nuggets of wisdom in there that I can take and learn from, because I'm always trying to self-improve. But my point is, literary agents, Query Shark, the publishers, they were all wrong. My book's not too long. My voice isn't weak or indistinct. They were married to their standard operating procedures like holy dogma, and they couldn't fathom that a novel that was 29K past the traditional publishing word limit for a debut author might do well out the gate. So they auto-rejected me. So my message is this. Don't take these people's words as holy dogma. They're people. It doesn't matter how much experience a person has. It doesn't matter how much living they've done. They're still fallible. They're still a person. If you have 20 people who read your book and 18 of them really like it, and 2 say you'll never get this published, guess who you should fucking listen to? Just guess. The fact of the matter is, literary agents aren't the majority, not, what are they? 0.0005% of the population. Same thing for people who work in the traditional publishing industry and editors. How many people in America fall into one of those professions? Not a sizable portion of the population. You're marketing your book to the entire reading population of this country. It doesn't necessarily matter what the gatekeepers and professionals think. It matters what the average reader will think. The average reader thinks my first 5 pages are great. I got a review, a comment on my reading of my first chapter. Guy said he was going to buy my book based on my first chapter in my comment section on the first chapter video. I had a friend who told me a coworker picked up her copy that I signed for her, picked it up at work. Reader said, yeah, this back blurb didn't really interest me, but then I read the first couple pages and I was hooked. And by the way, I crafted this using advice I found on all the online blogs from the editors and the literary agents and Query Shark. That goes by the traditional book. My first 5 pages are all me. Don't let the gatekeepers dictate to you. They give you guidelines and the advice of what works for most people. They're not infallible. I'm not saying you're the exception to the rule, but there is always an exception to the rule, and you could be it. Just a thought. So guys, that's pretty much my rant. I just wanted to get on here and rant about some of that stuff, because oh my god, it has been a journey of slamming my head into one wall after the other, and thankfully I have a pretty thick skull, but man, this migraine is killing me, you know what I mean? But we're almost there, and it's honestly been one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I'm really glad I did it, and I'm going to keep doing it. So, that's the video, guys. If you haven't already, check out my novel, The Garden of Lies, due for release in, 4 or 5 days now, depending on the exact day I upload this. I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, check it out. Go to Goodreads, check out the reviews. Get yourself a copy. Leave me an honest review. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell me how you really feel. I'm confident it's going to be at least somewhat positive. Until next time, be well, my friends. Catch you next time.